Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am the host of Paden's Pulpit. This is season 2, episode 4. Season 2, episode 4. Yesterday February 1st, began Black History Month. Most of us know some Black history, and that's a good thing. Most of us don't know enough Black history. Why is that important? It is the history of our race, a powerful race when you know the facts about Mother Africa, the facts. There was a time when Africa was depicted as uncivilized, and the people there ate humans and all kinds of crazy, nonsensical stuff. That's when we were in the proverbial dark. Now, thanks to many people, it has been revealed that Africa is a continent of many riches, not many riches, many, many, many riches. Countries are still over in Africa right now because of the many riches over in Africa. For Black History Month, for years, since I was in the 10th grade, I've spread that information. I began learning about Black history at Princeton University. It was a summer program, and at the time I was living in the Scudder Home Projects on Mercer Street. Really didn't know anything about, Black history. It wasn't taught in schools. My parents didn't have much of that knowledge. But this was an extensive summer program where for 2 months we stayed at Princeton University in their dormitories, and it was a mix of Black, Hispanic, and other of color young men. It was just men. We did not have any females at this location, though they were at another school. We had parties and stuff, so we met them later, but this was all boys. They woke us up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we began exercise. 5 o'clock in the morning, something was crazy. But they woke us up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we did jumping jacks and push-ups and ran and all kinds of stuff, because the body should be a fit body. To this day, I still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm a retired individual, because they taught us getting up early is important. You sleep your life away when you sleep to 8, 9, 10 o'clock for no good reason. But they got us up. We did the exercise. We went, had a hearty breakfast. We sat around with breakfast. Then we went to classes. And in the midst of this, we had religious training, because there was, you could never really, it was at least, I would say it was at least 100 to 200 young men. And we had about 20 mentors. And they were all Black, Hispanic, and they came out with their dashikis. People weren't wearing dashikis and stuff like that. The big afros, and they were just cool. Like, whoa, these brothers are cool. And we had classes throughout the day, and they taught us some stuff that we didn't know. And we were looking at each other like, where'd you get this from? Not the Africa I learned about. And by the end of the summer, we had been infused with so much knowledge. It changed my life. I was proud to be Black, because back then, this was in 1969. Black then, being this color was nothing to be proud of. At least that's what we thought. If you're a light skin, at least you're a light skin. That's what we thought. But they taught us, and this is a color of power, black. I went back to Central High School where I was attending, and I spread this knowledge. I started writing for the school newspaper, and I would tell everybody, Africa is a continent, not a country. Africa has riches like gold, oil, minerals, resources. And a lot of people looked at me crazy, like, boy, you out your mind. What you smoking, what you sniffing? But I was firm with my stuff. I knew what I knew, and nobody doubting it could take it away from me to this day. So that started my journey that summer. And since that summer, I've learned new black history every year of my life. Every single year of my life. And I know more than the average person. I call myself Dr. Paden because my black history knowledge is so extensive. Not a brag, it's a fact. But I still learn black history facts every day. I learned something just the other day that I didn't know. But I've changed over the past couple of years. I've put some of that knowledge into some books. Prior to that, I used to write newspaper columns. I wrote newspaper columns for several newspapers for about 20 years, and I would put that information in there and try to, spread that information, and that was a good thing. I'm glad I did it. But now I have books. And the thing about books is that you write the book so somebody could buy the book. I'm not giving this information away. It's out there. You don't have to just come to me. But let me tell you the second book that I wrote. It was called Now You Tell Me, History/Facts Not Taught in Most Schools. And the reason it's entitled that is like if you discover something after the fact. You're sitting in jail and then you find out that I come from kings and queens. Now you tell me. I'm in jail. So it was a play on that. Now you tell me, because the schools didn't teach us any of this. But anyway, this book, one of the first chapters of this book, The Truth About Africa, I tell you details that are indisputable. Black buying power. Black buying power. You would be amazed to know that we as blacks, if we spent our money only within our community and among ourselves, our money would make us the 11th largest country as far as spending power. Imagine that. The history of historically black colleges and universities that go how they started, some of the funding sources, Native Americans. The Native Americans are also of color. The black codes, black cowboys, that stuff they showed you on TV, John Wayne and all those other, their people, I say that respectfully. That wasn't how the real West was. I put an important piece, especially right now, surviving the police while black. Women's history, another important subject on it. I have to now step down because I dropped one of my books. Okay. Then I had another book I wrote during the pandemic. And in this particular book, I highlighted some very prominent people of color. The first chapter is on Jesus Christ. You say, wait a minute, you said people of color. Know your history. Know where Jesus was born. Know how Jesus was described. Jesus was a person of color. He was not blue-eyed, blonde hair. That's what they taught us, and that's what we believed for years. Our eyes were shut. Barack Barack Hussein Obama, the first black president, Kamala Harris, Colin Powell, Nelson Mandela, man, such an inspiration. The man stayed in jail for the years that he stayed in jail rather than say what they wanted him to say. Shirley A. Chisholm ran for president of the United States way back in the 1970s. John R. Lewis, Sonia M. Sotomayor, she's currently a Supreme Court justice and she is Hispanic. The Hopi tribe, that's an Indian tribe. Benjamin Elijah Mays, Maxine Waters, Imamu, that's a title, Amiri Baraka, LeBron R. James. These are all people in my book, and it's called Quotes and Motivational Words / Stories, including the people behind them. Because when you read the struggle that many of them had before they achieved their greatness, it lets you know you may be struggling right now. But you probably didn't have half the struggles that these people had prior to becoming successful. This is a thick book. I write it for those older folks like myself that you can read it without reading glasses on. There's a bunch of quotes. There's a bunch of affirmations. Again, this is another one of my books. In my very last book, my fifth book, I have two other books, but they're not related to Black history, is called Sick and Tired of Being Sick and Tired. In all caps, we have overcome. And Sick and Tired of Being Sick and Tired is in reference to the great Fannie Lou Hamer. She said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. The killing of that young man, Brother Tyree. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I heard someone say, when are we going to overcome? That's silly. Yes, that was a senseless killing of a black man. Yes, that happens more than it should have. But we have overcome. Stop that nonsense. Stop that pity party. We have overcome. I myself, my parents, neither one of them went past the 8th grade. I'm a college educated person. I got children college educated. I got grandchildren college educated. This is in my blood. My blood. Don't let somebody, or don't let an incident, it's like if you were playing a 8-game football season and you lose one game. It doesn't take your season away from you. You rebound and you go on. You lose 7 games. You still won 1. We got to stop being our own worst enemy. But in this book, I give a biography of Fannie Lou Hamer, of course, the 1839 mutiny on the Amistad, and that was some African slaves who came over, and they refused to allow themselves to be brought to America, knowing they would be enslaved, and they had a mutiny on that ship, and they took the ship away. But then when they came to America, of course, the powers that be tried to put them back into slavery. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. A president, one of the presidents of the United States, was their former president of the United States, was their lawyer. Very interesting, very powerful history of black jockeys. See, we don't know anything about our history. Before there was any of these white jockeys and now Hispanic jockeys. The winner of the first Kentucky Derby was black. He won 14 or 15 of the first Kentucky Derbies. Why don't you hear about them? Well, first of all, because racism took them out of the sport. When they started dominating, and the white guys didn't like it. So they would hit their horses or do dirty things, and it's in this book. Uh, Information on the Amazons of the Dahomey, the uh, Black Woman King. That is based on the Amazons of the Dahomey. It's in the movie, or was in the movies. Queen Charlotte. Don't know who Queen Charlotte was? Queen Charlotte was part of British royalty, and she was black. She was black. This was way back before Prince Harry, Prince William, and their father and their mother. The royalty has black blood in it. All this controversy against Prince Harry's baby, there's blacks in your. It's in the book, but it's called Queen Charlotte, Britain's Dirty Little Secret. I have plenty of information in all my books about black inventors, inventions, and things that we use every day. Every day that blacks invented. You don't even know. It's a shame before all of creation that we allow ourselves to be so ignorant to these facts. But that's why I no longer give it away. I'm not going to pump you for, read you stuff in this book. No. You can be ignorant. Ignorant means you don't know. So in case you think I'm trying to, diss you, ignorant means you don't know. You don't know about your own history. That's a shame. You talk to the average Irish person, the average Jewish person, the average Ukrainian person. They'll be able to vocalize their history from start to finish. And last thing I'll end on is something called critical race theory. I did a podcast on it where they are given the true history of the world, and it includes of color people, especially blacks. There's a big fight to keep that out of the schools. They have made laws where if the teacher teaches it, they'll go to jail. Why don't I want you to learn about your own people? Why? Figure it out. Makes me angry. But I have these 3 books. Now you tell me, history/facts not taught in most schools, break the chains, knowledge is power. Sick and tired of being sick and tired, we have overcome. And the book written during 2020, during the pandemic, quotes and motivational words/stories, including the people behind them. All these books, this was my second book. It was small, but now I make my books. This is 8.5 by 11. I have to pay more to publish my books, but again, I want you to be able to read it. I want you to, have no problems with the print, because many times, many publishers have that very tiny, tiny print. Black History Month, people. The final thing I'm going to say, again, ignorance is bliss. That's the expression. People have said, why did they give us Black History Month in the shortest month of the year? Nobody gave us Black History Month. You should know the history. I'm not going to tell you any more of that stuff. I'm sorry. Bitter? Not bitter. I just learned to, as the expression goes, give away the cow for free? No. My book, other books. Go to the library. You want to be lazy and not spend your money? Google it. But I know my history. To God be the glory. And my family knows their history. They know how important it is. I can't make them know what I know, but it's impossible to be around me and not know some of what I know. Thank you. I hope that you will take time to use the knowledge that's available. Black History Month, and Black History is 365, 366. Every day is Black History Month, and you could literally learn something new every day of the month. The reason I stopped writing for the newspaper, and I'll end on this, is that I had published some facts that I had on blacks, and the newspaper had gotten a new editor, young Caucasian woman, and the editor under her knew that I would be upset because I don't like people to change things. You know, they do sometimes for, you know, correction of words and stuff like that, and I love that. But don't change my text. So he said, Harry, I want you to read this because she did some extensive editing of your column. And I hadn't had people edit my column in 20 years. You know, my column was, it was just, they allowed me to write. They allowed me, because I have to back up my own facts as a writer. Plagiarism and all that stuff is on the writer, not the newspaper. Well, it could go on the newspaper, mainly it goes on the person. So when I got it, I asked her, wait a minute, why'd you take out about 5 paragraphs of what I had written? It changes the narrative of what I wrote. Here's her exact words. Well, I couldn't find it in any of the books I looked in. And I said, well, the reason you couldn't find it because you don't have the books and the resources that I have. Huh. I stopped writing for that paper that day, and thus began my book writing career. Never gonna be censored. Never. The facts are the facts. Black History 365. Take time to read your books. My books are available on Amazon. Again, I'll never make a living because I'm not out there selling, I'm not out there begging. The information is the information, but it's available on Amazon, or you can contact me through various mediums. I'm on all other social media sites, so you certainly can contact me or get it directly from Amazon. Thank you. To God be the glory. Black History Month 365.